Well, good morning, everybody online. I just wanted to let you know that we are waiting for an in-room quorum. So we are kind of in a pause mode right now. We are live streaming currently, so be aware of that. I am going to go ahead and mute the boardroom, and we'll check back in with you or get started as soon as the quorum shows up. Thank you, everyone.
Blair, can you hear me? This is Deborah. Blair, this is Deborah. Can you hear me?
Miss Allen, are you on your way in at this point, currently driving?
Whoops. Here comes.
I'm sorry to break in on the meeting. This is Alan. I'm sorry to break in on the meeting. This is Alan. Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you, Miss Allen.
I'm sorry?
Miss Allen, it's Mr. Tarver. I can hear you.
Oh, way to go. I am on my way. Can you let someone know I'm on my way?
I am not in person. Hopefully somebody hears you, but I'll send a message through the chat.
Okay, thanks, Terry.
Deb, it's John. I think they need you there, so it's good you're on your way for a quorum.
And I am on my way. I'm at 64. 64 and 25.
volunteer on my camp.
Get everybody's attention here. Good morning. Good morning. My name's Chris Caius. I am the proxy chair here for Energy and Environment this morning. We're waiting for a quorum. We do not have it, but we're going to begin our discussions this morning. Oh my gosh, I should have started this a while ago. We do have a quorum. Call the roll.
Allen,
Barely here.
Genesis,
Dennis is here.
Strathman,
Strathman remote.
Carver.
Tarver's here remote.
Bill?
I see. Bates, Caius.
Caius present.
Bill's there.
Now, I could hear Tarver when I was driving.
He's online.
He's
Okay, you got
online.
him? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
He and Strathman are online, I believe,
And Juby sent me something. I don't know where.
but she's not in this committee.
Was just trying to find out your ETA.
I am
Okay.
not the official vice chair as Mr. Tarver is. Mr. Roth.
Roth.
Okay, good. We need him for the quorum. So we do have a quorum here in the room. And I would ask permission, I guess, from the committee to chair this meeting. Would that be appropriate, Mr.? Okay. If there's no objection, I will continue to chair this meeting since Ms. Bates is traveling.
No objection.
And
Ga-
Mr. Tarver
Galapagos.
can't make it in present. Pardon me?
Miss Bates is not only traveling, she's traveling in the Galapagos.
Yeah, she may be snorkeling this morning. Tortoises. Or racing the tortoises, who knows? And it was 9:25 when I started this thing, so at 9:25, call this meeting to order. And I am then the chair, and then I would ask for unanimous consent to allow Mr. Tarver and Ms. Strathman to participate as members of this committee, voting officially.
No objections. No problem.
Good
Of
morning.
course.
Okay, and so we have that out of requests. May I have a motion and a second, or ask for unanimous consent for approval of the September 12th, 2025 minutes?
Alan will request unanimous consent for approval of the minutes.
From September 12th, 2025. Is there any objection or any changes, any modifications that anyone found? Then in that case, those are adopted. Approved. Oh, Mr. Tarver, do you have your
Mr.
hand up?
I do, Mr. Chair. I apologize. I'm on a time restraint today, and I'm wondering if I could make a request to move up the resolutions in order to make sure that those get their due diligence with a quorum before I have to leave at 10 o'clock, if that's possible. Just wanted to put that out there, Mr. Chair.
Well,
He doesn't count for quorum, so.
count, sorry. That's good. That's a joke. But let's ask the committee. Was there any objection to moving
I'd
those
be
up?
fine with that if
Okay.
you guys are fine.
Yeah, okay. Well, then we'll just do that. We'll move right into those resolutions. We'll move to sustainability. It was Ms. Hinshaw this morning, but she's not here. So who's going to handle it? State your name and.
Austin Powell, Sustainability Coordinator.
Austin
Good
is-
morning. I have two resolutions for this committee to
I'm
consider.
going to start myself here. I'll accept a motion and a second to present, potentially approve a resolution accepting the ComEd Powering Safe Communities Program Grant, moved by
Genesis.
Tarver moves.
Genesis,
Tarver
second by
seconds.
Tarver,
Tarver seconds.
seconded by Tarver. Then we can now have discussion. Please, Austin, proceed.
Okay, well, first off, a few months ago, we received a grant from ComEd and the Mayor's Metropolitan Caucus for $10,000. Accepting this award will be going to funding a solar-powered flood warning sign that we'll place at a specific location in the county. That location is still to be determined.
Okay, any questions for Austin? Then this is at accepting a $10,000 grant. Okay.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Allen,
Aye.
Genesis,
Genesis, yes?
Strathman,
Yes.
Carver,
Tarver, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Caius.
Caius, yes. Then I would accept a resolution, present and potentially approve a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding between King County and the Conservation Foundation for the New Trees for New Homeowners NICOR Charitable Giving Grant. Moved by
Strathman will move.
Strathman, second by
Alan?
Allen. And is that you again? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Austin.
A few months ago, we partnered with the Conservation Foundation to apply for this NICOR Charitable Giving Grant. We were awarded $5,000, which will go to a new program called New Trees for New Homeowners. Essentially, we will purchase 8 trees and 4 shrubs, and we're partnering with the Fox Valley Realtors Association to hand out vouchers to new homeowners in the county. So starting January, homeowners will receive a voucher, and then they'll have a few months to decide on a native tree, and then we'll order those trees and supply them to them.
Okay, New Trees for New Homeowners. Da, 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 da. And that's a zero cost to us. That's a grant.
Yes.
It's okay. Any questions for Austin this morning?
Yes,
roll
Mr. Chairman, this is
Yes,
Strathman.
Ms. Strathman, comment?
Did I hear Austin say native trees?
Yes, there is a list. I don't have it in my mind right now, but we're using native trees for this program.
Great, thank you for doing that.
Question. Ms. Allen?
And Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to point out that if we were free to use our riverboat money for education, environmental, and economic development programs, we could conceivably do a match on a program like this. Just tossing that out into the ether for future consideration.
Coming around next year, I think. Soon enough. But we're going to start early on this year. We'll have a staff and everybody in place on that one, but excellent idea. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Genesis,
Genesis, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Caius.
Caius, yes. Excuse me. All right. Then that took care of, that's our only business, right, for resolutions? Great. And then I apologize, Mr. Leffler, for being, putting you a little bit on the back burner. We can have public comment. I have Steve Leffler. Would you like, step right up, please? Please don't hurt yourself.
Hey, everybody, Steve Leffler, once again.
You have
This
3
envir-
minutes.
This being the environmental committee, a lot of folks who are listening in on this might be saddened by a lot of the news that you're hearing, but some of the news that you may not have heard is that renewables this year have surpassed coal in electricity production worldwide. That's an amazing thing that I just learned about, and I think everybody should applaud. And, you know, despite shutting down of windmills, plants, and, you know, poo-pooing solar and, you know, taking away the EV energy credits, this is happening. And it's market forces that are doing this. It's that the cost of solar and battery combined and the technology that has, the technological innovations that have occurred are just going at exponential rates. And it's causing the cost of these things to drop unbelievably. I'm tired of winning. Thank you.
Is that it? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Leffler. And as you know, we don't answer back, even though there may be some silent cheering going on up here from this particular group. Great. Thank you. That leads public comment. Let me turn my timer off here so that I don't get it ringing. Okay. Thanks for being brief. Then on to environmental with Jody Wolnick.
Thank you. A couple months ago, we mentioned we would like to look into potential solar as a revenue coming in from the Fabian property. We did work with purchasing and put out an RFP for potential solar on the Fabian property as an income to the county. And we have Arnie Schrammel here this morning, our energy consultant, to go through some general information about what we've learned from the RFP and how we would potentially move forward.
Thank you, Jody. And, you know, we're here not asking for any votes or anything today, but we do want feedback from the members. we've got some high level stuff, but we also want feedback from the board today. Stuff you like, stuff you don't like, stuff you'd like to see, stuff you don't see. Because we'd like, if the board wants to go forward to the next step, we really need to get in the sandbox with a couple of these community solar developers and get to the next step. So quickly, the guiding principles we were looking at is find alternative revenue for vacant land that the county has, return state or Illinois mandated renewable energy investments to Kane County. Everybody who pays a ComEd bill is paying into these funds, including the county's ComEd sites. Lower ComEd's electric costs, potentially save money for residents and businesses, low-income qualified families, and county-owned facilities. Be good stewards of the land, support the Illinois Clean Energy Initiative, return county-owned vacant land to the tax rolls, and no county capital investment. Okay, solar land lease concept. So the county issued an RFP a couple months ago to all the Illinois licensed community solar developers in the state of Illinois. To do community solar development in Illinois, you have to get a special license from the Illinois Commerce Commission. The RFP also said it needs to be engineered, owned, and operated by the winning bidder with a direct land lease paid to Kane County. The winning bidder gets options to develop vacant land. They need time to perform due diligence. So part of this process is they've got to, once the county decides to give an option to a solar developer, they got to spend real money, real engineering money, real money with ComEd. And it's going to cost them anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000 to figure out if they have a viable project. What almost all community solar developers they'll want is like, if I spend $150,000 figuring out if there's a viable project here, I want to make sure that the landowner is willing to go forward. So that's kind of the process we're at right now, is first trying to figure out who the county would like to partner with to see if that site can actually be a viable community solar development. But there's terms put in place like land lease rates, who the major off-takers are up front, and then they spend the money and the time to figure out if it's a viable project, with the assumption if it is, the project goes forward without further approval. Again, if there's questions along the way, just please interrupt me and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Typically, these leases range from 25 to 35 years, and the solar company assumes the tax obligation on the property. Simply said, the Illinois has a special law on how solar is taxed, and it's really based on the size of the systems and the local tax rates. So it's kind of prescriptive property taxes. Of course, successful bidder criteria, the electrical infrastructure investment by the bidder. Normally on community solar developments, there's significant money that needs to be paid to ComEd to upgrade their infrastructure. So that was a core thing we were asking the potential community solar developers. And then, what is the money? How much money are they willing to pay per acre to the county for how long? And, what's their annual? Is it 1% or 2%? What's their annual increase on that lease rate? Total lease revenue for the term. And then, what's their experience? Do they have a lot of experience in developing community solar fields? So this is the site that we were specifically looking at. It's the former Kane County former Kane County Sheriff and Jail site. I think this site was shut down in the early 1990s, so the land's been vacant for over 30 years. And we specifically tried to stay away from the 10 acres directly on Fabian. And that was, I think, for several of the county board members thinking that land was by far the most valuable property. You can see from this picture, the golf course kind of wraps around. And this property up here is, if you can see with my highlighter, kind of where this building is. This property up here is all really brownfield. What's up here is wells, monitoring wells for the Settlers Hill landfill. So this area for sure is unbuildable. Any questions on this site? Yes.
Rod? Ms.
When
Roth?
you were saying unbuildable for solar or unbuildable for buildings?
For buildings, you can put solar
Okay.
on that property and work around
Yeah,
the wells.
that's why I wanted to. Okay. And then related to that, is it possible to put it on top of the dump or does that cause a leakage?
It is possible. There are dump sites that are former landfill sites that have solar on it. We're actually working with DuPage Forest Preserve on a couple of theirs. The difficulty with Settlers Hill, it's still considered an active dump. It's not active as far as garbage going in, but there's still quite a bit of methane that's being gathered.
Like settling of the hills? Is it-
Yeah, so the methane's coming out, the hills are still settling. It's not a great site today.
We
put
we have a
solar.
lot of infrastructure on our landfill. We have the cross-country course on Settlers Hill and the golf course. And so there really isn't any usable land along with the gas collection system and the monitoring wells. It's just not a suitable site for solar.
Yes, so maybe in 10 years, when the methane is pretty much exhausted, we can, another
You
5 to
relook
10
at
years,
it,
we can
okay.
take a look at where some of those gathering sites are and where the existing power plant is on that site. But it's really not ripe for solar to even really look at it
Or
today.
it's too ripe right now because of the methane?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we spent $5 million developing a cross-country course
Right.
on Settlers Hill, and you're not going to put solar on the steep slopes. And so the main area you'd put solar is where the cross-country course is, and then you have the golf course on the other. So our improvements to both of those sites really limit where you could potentially put solar.
I think cross country would love an obstacle course, so.
Hurdles.
May I ask a question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Carver, sorry, I missed your hand.
Oh, no worries. And I apologize if I might have missed this. I did, if I heard correctly, there's an RFQ process already in place. Is that correct?
Yes.
And because I'm not aware, does the RFQ process go through this committee or to the full board? I'm just not understanding the full process. If you could just share that with me.
The purchasing department issued the RFP to find out if there was any interest in developing community solar on the Fabian property. So with the assistance of the purchasing department and Arnie as our consultant and our staff in environmental and water resources, we would make up the team that reviews the proposals that were received and make a recommendation to this committee to move forward with one of those companies. And so before we wanted to do that and take that next step, we wanted to make sure that the board was in support of moving forward with a community solar project on this property. Because otherwise, investing that time and effort and negotiating with a potential partner for the community solar on this property doesn't make any sense if we don't have the board support.
Thank you for that clarification. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That answer that? Okay, then I got Mr. Panasas first.
Do we have any idea what costs there are involved to us at the
Closer
county?
to the
alone?
mic, please.
Oh, sorry. Just looking for the general idea of what the costs are to the county. for
There won't
preparing
be-
this land. or
This
whatever.
is supposed to be a revenue generator for the county at zero cost to the county. So we're looking to use our vacant land to increase the revenue. And so Arnie will get into those numbers in his presentation of the potential income to the property for leasing the land.
That answer.
I'm done. Yeah, thank you.
Alan?
And am I correct that not only are we trying to figure out, before we put our staff to a whole lot more work?
Miss Allen, please talk to us.
I'm sorry?
Microphone, please.
Oh, trying.
Well,
Okay, gotcha. not only do we not want to spend too much of our staff energy and stuff, but we also, we've got balls in the air. And one of the balls is considering what's going on that property. Is it viable for a company? Is it large enough? Is there enough space there for a company to say, yeah, we could be interested in checking this out?
Yeah,
So,
we had 3 companies that said yes.
okay, thank you.
So then this is the resulting information from that RFP. We do have interest in it. And so that's where we're at, looking for your feedback on if this is a use that you would like to see in a potential revenue source to the county.
Thank you.
And if I could, we had initiated, I think I'm not sure how officially it started, but we had initiated a conversation to find properties that the county owned to do viable solar projects as well as other economic things, I think. And so that was kind of the genesis, the seed of it.
Correct.
Anybody else on the committee? I see Mr. Gripe's hand, or I did. Oh, you're still there. John, are you there?
I'm here. Thanks, Chris. Yes. So I'm kind of on the same page with Mr. Tarver. It looks like we're a pretty far way downstream on this, and the board hasn't approved this. It's kind of like the committee is, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but that we've gone a whole lot of distance without the board agreeing that this is something we want to do. Because I have questions like, it's great that it'll generate revenue. That always seems to make people feel good. But how much? What else? If we sold this property for commercial real estate, what could we get for it? If we rented it for housing or something, low-income housing or something, or if we sold it for, there's a bunch of other things. And my concern is that we're kind of proceeding along the lines of, this is going to be solar. We're going to use it for solar. Boy, it makes money. So that means it's free. And I'm just concerned about that. So I would caution people that we not get so much momentum in this project that, we can't stop and give the board alternatives, which we should be looking at, like selling it and doing things like that.
Okay. And I will add, just from my history of the board, and maybe Miss Allen can speak to it. We've already investigated a number of times whether to sell it, and that's why we cleaned it up. But Miss Allen, did you have?
I would defer to the chairman if you want to speak to that issue.
No, you have more history than I do, but 'cause I
Okay.
was just on it when we were.
Oh, okay. Well, to address the group generally, this property has been empty since the jail moved, and it was a mess and needed to be cleaned up. And it still has some uses. We still have a tower with various entities, including ourselves, using that tower to send out our signals for 911 and Quadcom and Tricom and so on. And we have had major discussions. And yes, there are people who do want to sell the land. And at the time we were checking it out, I think it was anywhere between 2 million and 5 million for the land. And we wanted to say, well, we might want to have some control over what goes there, because on the south side of Fabian, it's all warehouse stuff. And I don't know that there's any price that someone could pay for us to approve of putting warehouses on the Fabian property. And then there are others who are saying, well, once you sell this property, once it becomes private, you'll never get it back. This is prime land in a prime place right near the county's general offices. It's on Fabian. It's got a stoplight. It's got a million things going for it. So is there any chance that you want to keep it for public use? Because once it's gone, you'll never get it back. Anybody else have some things they remember?
And I think that's about the way it went and that was one of my pushes when I first got on this, the administration committee, was to clean. We had a number of discussions about what the future of this would be. And we were always hindered initially every discussion by, well, the old jail's there, the Pizza Hut building, which is no longer there. You probably don't even know where it's at now. And things were complicating all of our discussions up to that point. So we wanted to, my push was to get it cleaned up, and we have it cleaned up now. So this is the preliminary discussion of where we may be going next. Now, whether we've gone too far, I don't know. I see your hand still up, Mr. Gripe. Did you have a comment?
I still have my hand.
Sorry, Chris, I'll take it down, but no, yeah, I think we're considering the right things. Thank you.
Okay, and then Mr. Roth.
I think we're doing the right approach. We're looking at it as an opportunity. And part of what Arnie said at the beginning of this presentation, he wants feedback, to move, so we can move forward. And I'm thinking about my feedback and stuff. So I think we're doing the right attempt. You did say, and that's, I think, important in the presentation. What are the requirements? One, you said that this land is unbuildable, which means we can't sell it. We're not going to get a lot of money if we can't build on it.
Yeah, I want to make sure I clarify.
Okay.
Just this area to the north is brownfield. I know where this shed is. And also to clarify, it doesn't include any of the 10 acres
Up front.
up front.
Yeah.
That was for previous board comments about trying to leave the most valuable property for other options, sell, lease.
Or use.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with Ms. Allen's comment that we should be careful before we sell all property.
And then I will,
Never
I
get
see
back.
Mr. State's Attorney. Can we give Mr. State's Attorney here just
This is
clarification?
sort of not a state's attorney, but my recollection, I would defer to Mrs. Allen. My recollection is that shortly after the closure, there was at least one fairly lengthy board retreat in which the whole question of alternative uses for this property were presented and discussed in some detail. And there probably somewhere is a record of what all that involved. But I remember an evening that had presentations from the development department on all sorts of alternatives and proposals.
We'll turn that over to our historian, which officially now is, yeah, okay.
Do we
So,
maybe
is
want to get through the rest of the presentation? So,
Right.
Before we
Well,
have any more
Mr. Chair, I have
discussion?
my hand up.
I have one other hand. and there may
So
be a
everyone
question for
has the information.
Okay. Ms. Gums, something
Thank
up
you.
till this point or?
Yeah, no, I have something before we go on with the presentation.
Okay.
Thank you for recognizing me. I'm not on the committee. I appreciate the work being done, but I think we're getting ahead of our skis here because I've expressed this before. I have no appetite to put solar anywhere on this property. That's just my appetite, and I've heard other board members say that. So my question is, how did we get to a point where we're putting out an RF anything? I don't think that's the direction that we go before we get consensus from the board.
Okay, thank you for your comments. I'm going to have Mr. Schrammel finish his discussion this morning. And of course, we can have a discussion amongst ourselves on the board in the very near future, whenever possible. But let's suggest that we get through this presentation.
Thank you, Chairman. So just a high level proposal. Here's some of the summary results. So from the RFP, there were 3 experienced solar developers, all with extensive Illinois and nationwide experience. And one of them also has extensive brownfield solar development experience. The sizes of the proposals varied anywhere from 11 to 25 acres. If I go back one slide. So as Alan pointed out, there's a communications tower right here. I don't know if you can really see it, but there's guide wires that go this way, this way, this way. And one of the solar developers who sent us this picture said they can develop around those guide wires. The other ones want to stay completely out of that. So they're only talking about using like half this area for solar, like 11 acres, not 25 acres. So the county has options there. In addition, this area up here has like old growth trees, trees that are, at least 50 to 75 years old. So that area was left out of the discussion. There are trees and stuff in some of this area, but they're trees that have basically kind of grown on their own over the last 25, 30 years as the property's kind of been abandoned or put on the back burner. So that's the site. The production ranges is, basically 4 to 7 million kilowatt hours. And just for reference, the county solar field at your judicial jail is a 2 megawatt field, just under 4 million kilowatt hours a year. So most of you are familiar with the size of that. The minimum size would be that size, but it could be like double that size. The annual lease payments range from $3,500 an acre to $9,500 an acre. And I know some of these have come through the county before. When we first started working on community solar fields about 6 years ago, the annual lease payments were about $1,000 per acre per year, and those have increased over time. The first year lease payments, again, it's highly dependent on the number of acres and ultimately the winning solar developer. But the county is looking at annual lease payments between $100,000 and $130,000 a year. 35-year total lease payments over $5 million. Property taxes paid by the developer first year is again going to range between $20,000 and $40,000. Again, this is in Geneva, so most of the tax revenue is going to go, or tax revenue increase will go to the Geneva School District and the City of Geneva. The other thing that was in the RFP is who's going to actually get the electricity produced off the field. All three of the developers have agreed to do what we call a community-driven community solar field. So they're going to give preference to the county's facilities, the county residents, to be the off-takers of the solar production. And again, with community solar, they also said they would give at least a 10% reduction over whatever the ComEd price is. So the off-taker, that is actually quite a bit, can be quite a bit of revenue also. But in annual benefit to the county, depending on which direction the county goes and how big a field it'd be between $100,000 and $240,000 a year. The other thing that, again, the substation's about 1.5 miles away from this site. There'd probably have to be an additional line and a transformer change out. So we think there's going to be at least $1 million ComEd's going to ask for system improvements to be able to take the power from this site. And we've got developers that have committed all the way up to $1.5 million for those infrastructure improvements. Decommissioning bond, they all agreed, and I believe this is in the county ordinance, to follow the AMA standards, the Agricultural Impact Mitigation Agreement. I think that's already, Jody, correct me if that's already a county ordinance. And then the estimated construction date would be, start by July 4th of 2026 and have it completed by the end of 27. And that relates to the current tax rules. In order to get the 30% federal tax credit, the projects have to start by July 4th of 26, and they have to be in production by December of 27. Kind of next steps, the county staff and procurement has reviewed this at a high level. We decided we needed to come back to the county board E&E committee today to get feedback from the county board members on what they like, what they don't like, what they want to see changed. If they want to go forward, if you want to go forward, place on a future board meeting schedule for presentation and voting, and then have the state's attorney's office review the contract terms and make sure they fit with the county parameters. Risk assessment, what we did is evaluate the developer's ability to meet the safe harboring strategies and federal project milestones for the tax credit, really under considerations with the tax credit law changing in July of this year. Performance and activity requirements, developer must initiate project process milestones, the big one being a ComEd pre-application and interconnections cost study. Again, this ComEd charges anywhere between $80,000 and $120,000 to do. And on top, before you even submit it, you got to hire your own engineers to do a study. So that's why they want kind of a handshake agreement in place with the landowner, in this case, the county, that, hey, we're going to spend real money figuring out what we need to do to make this a viable project. But if we do spend the money and it is viable, we want to proceed under these terms. And then I think I already talked about the construction timeline. Again, under the current 30% tax credit, the projects have to start by July 4th of 2016, and they have to be completed by December of 2027. And that's really high level what we've been looking at so far. But again, staff and myself, we're really here to try to get feedback from the county board members and figure out what our next steps are.
Thank you, Arnie. And I just want to mention too, we have just had some really initial conversations with the state's attorney's office regarding the leasing of land for a community solar. They continue to kind of look into that as an option for the county on any of our vacant land. It does go to the public purpose of the community solar field versus the state legislation on what the county can do with its land. And so we're just having some very initial conversations with them. But we are really at the first step here. Is the E&E committee did direct us to send out that RFP to see if this property was even feasible for community solar. And so because we have had 3 responses, it is on the table. It's on the table if the county board wants it to be on the table. So that's as far as we've gone with it. And we wanted to get it in front of you and let you know what the results of the RFP are. I don't believe we're in front of our skis because all we really have done is see if this is an option for this property. And the answer to that is yes. And now we turn it kind of back over to yourselves as the board to determine if this is an option that you want us to proceed with any further.
Okay, well, are you looking for a consensus from this committee then?
We would need some sort of consensus. As Arnie points out, if we want to get to the point of locking in one of these developers, they're going to be spending upwards of $200,000 to get to the next step. And so we would need some sort of formal commitment from the county board to actually have them do that work and have us proceed any further with this.
Would that, if you don't mind, that would lead us to a committee of the whole or something to do this presentation? Because even if the committee advises to proceed, that's not going to be a lock on this. And if it comes to a full, as you know, it comes to a vote of the full board, we need to have everyone certainly as informed as possible. So
certainly it at your recommendation, if the committee of the whole is the appropriate place, maybe there needs to be, Ms. Bates did mention reaching out to some board members to kind of gauge the temperature and the desire to move forward with any of this. And if it just isn't the case that she is seeing that there's not the support for this, then it just maybe just dies here with the information that you have.
So more likely we should, once Ms. Bates returns from her adventure in the Southern Hemisphere, we can contact, and maybe she would be the lead on this?
Correct. Yeah, she would want to be the
maybe
lead.
split it up to committee
yep.
members to poll the board to see if we want to go ahead on this and get a temperament, at least at that point. And then the next thing might be a committee of the whole where there's no voting. It's just all informative for the rest of the, might provide more information to each of the individual board members.
Correct.
Does that sound reasonable to the board? Mr. Pennis is
I
first
think
here.
that's a great idea going to the committee of the whole because we've got all these steps that we're going to need to take. We're looking at construction starting in 9 months. So we need to get started on this right away. I hate to lose this opportunity. We need to get this started right away. And committee of the whole makes perfect sense to me to get informed, get the county board members informed about this project. I mean, has this let me ask you this. Well, Deb, you're the historian here. Has this property been up for sale forever? I mean, it hasn't been for sale. Right?
Never.
Okay.
For sale. No, that's what we discussed, actually in depth quite a bit. but we always ran into a number of arguments, which were the property's not ready. We don't know what's on there. We have to clean stuff up.
Yeah.
And we've worked over the last 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years, as I recall, removing structures that were of no value to the county. We do, just to clean it up, to make sure that we've able, so when we do want to do something, we have options. We're not back to the same arguments like, oh, well, what about this and what about that?
Yeah,
So-
retaining
so
control
solar
of this
isn't,
property is great too.
yeah, solar isn't, yeah, and if that's what the board decides to do is not retain or retain, that's something the board has to decide, not this committee. But then Mr. Roth, you had to,
Yeah, what I would recommend is do it like a return on investment. And I see 3 options. One is this plan. The other is where, and there again, potentially do it where we own it outright, because then it's a higher revenue unless there's some stones in the way that prevents that from happening. And the third is, if we did sell it, how much would we get? And that would be a one-time hit. And then you compare that against, if we're going to earn, 200 to 300,000 a year for 20 years versus, we sell it for $500,000, that's a simple return on investment. In 3 years, we're making money more than selling it.
and we do have some figures, they're not current. I
Right.
believe in admin, we looked at that and gotten figures on what the sale would be
But,
and the
but,
complications.
and I guess my question on that was that selling the whole piece of property, because this is just part of it. And you
Would
don't
have to
have
be tailored,
access to
right? Yeah.
Fabian.
Yeah.
So then you have to, the other is I would recommend we get feedback from facilities management. Is there anything else in that property that could cause us an issue? Like, we got the tower, so now you have wiring. They do have
This
full
has all been-
infrastructure.
Yeah, again, I'll go back over that again. We have
Yep.
thoroughly that wires the things that were on that land at that
But-
particular time.
Right.
Mr. I see, Mr.
But that wasn't given to the developers, and that could change their proposal if there's something that was going to cause them to have to change how many panels that, if you got a sewer line down the middle or whatever,
All
or
right.
data lines.
Thank you.
So we need to do our due diligence, so we're upfront with that.
Agreed.
And then it should be a very simple mathematical, here's the 3 possibilities. What's the most advantageous for us?
Oh, simple. You're talking about full.
Well,
board.
I'm a finance major, so yeah.
Great. I'm going to go, Mr. Shepro, and then is it historian stuff, Mr. Shepro, or state's attorney stuff?
Again, and my recollection is that the city of Geneva is very interested in what happens with this property and was involved in the previous discussions.
I believe you're correct. Okay. And then I see your hand back up, Mr. Gripe. Did you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, kind of a question, but I'm probably more than a little concerned that I don't see the rush to throw a solar facility on this place because, like Mr. Shepro just mentioned, the city of Geneva has some questions. And to take this to committee of the whole, they can't vote on anything. So I think people are saying, well, but it won't cost anything. And it's a great idea. And let's just do it. And we get so far along that they'll say, we just can't stop now. This company has spent $200,000. Well, I tell you, if my company was going to spend $200,000, there is no way I would proceed without a formal vote of the county board to say, this is what we want to do with this. Because once this goes up, folks, that property's done. There is nothing else that's probably ever going to go on this property. So this is way more serious than some people are saying. Solar could be the right answer, but I think we've gotten way out over our skis, maybe ahead of the skis and down the slope.
Maybe Mr. Gripe, could you suggest if it wasn't the committee of the whole or informing the board of this information, what would be your recommendation?
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Kais. I guess what I would do is ask somebody, maybe the environmental committee, or not the committee, but maybe the committee, to put a resolution together and say, here's what we want to do. Here are the steps we want to proceed. Here are the costs. In other words, here's how much money it's quote unquote guaranteed to make each year. Here's the, even if it doesn't cost the county something, here's a comparative benefit if we sell the property or do this or do that or whatever it is. But there's lots of options. And then I think we should ask the community, it's probably more than just Geneva that has an interest in what we end up doing to this place. So I think a formal resolution is in order. I don't think there's any rush. You know, I'm sure that the people that are in this process who are going to make a boatload of money on this would love to start in August or September or in 27. Because if it's a good idea in 26, it'll be just as good of an idea in 27.
All right, thank you for your comments. Anybody else on, we're going to try and wrap this up so Jobs get started on time, but Ms. Allen?
I think that we have to, this is a chicken and egg situation. And I would tend to agree with what Mr. Roth said, was that maybe we say, okay, right here and now, if we do a solar process, what could we gain and for how long? And if we were to sell the property outright, what could we expect? And is there an interground where we say, well, we'll allow some other uses on the property, but we want to know, we want to have control of what they're going to be. And I have to say that to Mr. Gripe, that a 30-year lease, a 25 or a 30-year lease in government is kind of a snap of the fingers. There may be a point in 30 years, how many boards is that down the lane when they will want to build different facilities? And this is a way of putting the property in a kind of, if you do the solar thing, or if you rent it to some other entity, you're at least keeping control of the property in our hands. And then 30 years down the line, you can make another decision if you care to, that the land isn't going. Who is it who said the one thing that doesn't ever change is how much land there is? And this is a really valuable piece. So I'd like to say, let's keep, the reason we're doing the exploration now is that it's more valuable if you get tax credits. So it's worth it, in my opinion, to try and figure out what that value is now while we could still take advantage of that. Whether or not we want to go forward, we bring in some of the other choices.
To that point, shall we, as a consensus from here, from our present
One
committee?
quick question, and that's it. And I don't know
But
if
is
you
it,
even have an answer.
I'm not
for
worried about the
this.
question, but the answer I'm worried about.
Well, that's true. I don't think we have an answer to this. At least I'm not sure. Those credits, those federal credits, if we start construction, July 4th, 2026, it has to be energized by December 2027. Do we have a ballpark figure of how much more this would cost if we don't meet those deadlines?
Well, right now the tax credit's 30%. So
It's not even doable if we don't do it financially is what?
it probably will be doable, but instead of getting $5,000 an acre, it might be $2,000 an acre.
Yeah.
That's why I think the committee of the whole
is important.
Informing everyone about this, in deference to John Gripe. I think we need to have all our members informed about this decision before we move forward.
Well, let's go then for a consensus of the committee to do along those lines. And of course, Ms. Bates can do whatever she wants to when she gets back as far as the committee, but the committee that's present here today, is there a consensus to proceed with nominally the step to prepare this and get it ready for a committee of the whole after we do some polling amongst the full board to make sure the committee of the whole is that's worth mentioning, that we have enough support to at least investigate it. So
Mr. Chairman Strathman?
Yes, Mr. Rathman.
I think communication and education is always a good idea. And I think to present this to the committee of the whole would be a logical next step so that people are informed as we are asking them to make a decision about this.
Okay. And I see your hand up again, Mr. Gripe, but I'm going to caution you that we're moving toward doing something here. So
yeah, just real quick.
Please.
I think moving forward and answering questions is good. I don't know nobody goes to the committee of the whole. We all know that. So if people want to do surveys and all that, why are we afraid of taking this to the board for a vote? If it's the right idea, the board will vote on that. committee of the whole and sidebars with people outside of committee meetings to take surveys, that's not the way we do things in the light. And I think if this makes sense, a vote by the entire board through the traditional process will be the right solution.
Thank you for your comment, Mr. Gripe. Again, I'll go back. Is this where we want to go for as the committee to do polling, informal polling to get opinions and then take it potentially to the committee of the whole? And that's the members of the committee. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, we will need a formal resolution by the board after this education process, if there is the support, because they will not, the community solar company will not spend $200,000 without a formal vote from the board. And so we will get there. It's just a matter of how you want to proceed from this point. If we want to do an education, find out what kind of appetite there is the committee of the whole the appropriate place to do that, we can do that. But to Mr. Gripe's point, there is a vote that would come for them to actually investigate and invest that $200,000 into investigating this further.
And this committee of the whole allows the board to be educated without the pressure of actually passing a resolution. To your point that nobody shows up for committee of the whole, committee of the whole is official. It will be in the record so that the education process will continue. People can then have all this information available at their fingertips. And it should receive a thorough discussion in committee of the whole.
I mean, a lot of people don't attend like John said, they don't attend the committee of the whole, but most people are online. They listen to the information. We've got it. It's not going to slow us down too much. October 28th is the next one if we could get it on the agenda. I don't think it'll slow us down too much that we would be able to go through the whole process of getting this approved by the board later. But the education part is the key part right now,
And
because people just don't know about this. You know,
Yeah.
board members don't know about it.
all right. So
And we may not attend in person, but a lot of people Zoom.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get,
Right.
we're just
So-
trying to get
right,
the
right,
information
right.
out.
And
Right,
we
right.
shouldn't plan our meetings for the lowest common denominator. If board
Absolutely.
members are not willing to show up, and this may be a pet peeve of mine, I apologize if my bullying gets, are not willing to show up to be educated in committee of the whole, I think we miss a lot of valuable information. We end up in meetings like we're talking about, trying to solve something to pass the same day is problematic. So I'm
Mr.
getting
Chairman?
from Ms. Strathman.
Yes, I would like to also add that without sounding like I'm voicing my own pet peeves as well, but with the committee of the whole, it is a chance for people to do their homework. And before we go to an extra long board meeting, while people do their homework in the meeting.
We could set a record. Let's just dump it right into a board meeting. And 6 hours. Okay, so this is the consensus. I'm nodding here and would be the directive to energy and environment staff to work with Madam Bates and the committee to get a consensus a little bit, or get some opinions from informally from members of the board about this type of project, and then take it, if that's the case, it looks like it's got enough weight to carry that far, go to a committee of the whole, and then on to a formal resolution. If that's the case, if we decide something completely different, we haven't lost anything right up to the vote, the very last vote, which was going to happen in a couple months anyway, be the soonest, right?
Yes.
This is the kind of thing okay, that's what I'm hearing from our committee members at this point.
And there's a lot of detail, but I don't want to.
I don't want you to say it either.
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
I want to take that offline is what I'm trying to say.
I think we've just discussed that we're taking it offline and we're talking that way. And then Ms. Lewis.
Yes, I'm not on the committee, but
I understand.
I also think that the administration committee kind of needs to get involved in this, because I think this piece of land has had so many different options. So I think at a committee of the whole, instead of just presenting, here's the solar option, just at least give us that little hint, like what are those 4 or 5 things? Because every time I turn around, somebody's got a different plan for this.
They do.
And I think I was surprised that this didn't come through admin, because they're kind of the keeper of the land. So just my thought. Thank you.
Through solar, I guess. Yeah, right. It would eventually have to go through, and that's where there's a valuable resource with Mr. Fonstock and the information that we've gathered, at least even and before me, in the various committees already. So that's the kind of information we need to make sure that all the new board members and the old board members get reminded that that's what we have done and where we've been going. Anything else, Mr. Schramm?
Oh,
Okay.
It was a good presentation.
I'm going to, I appreciate the discussion. I think we made a lot of progress here. And we'll look for those comments, certainly from board members that are not on the committee. As we go ahead, we will be working with those people. Everybody on the board has the equal amount of opinion or should have the equal amount of ability to express their opinion, as we have seen a big diversity here this morning. Is there any other, so that was our item B was 2026 goals.
Yes, the chairwoman asked us to have the conversation about 2026 goals. They are on the top of your agenda from 2025. We also included a separate piece of paper that has those goals listed as well. Staff-wise, our only suggested change from the 2025 goals is the tree protection ordinance, removing that. After many, many discussions with the state's attorney, we cannot figure out a way legally to kind of accomplish what that started out to be. And so at this point in time, we have no ability to move forward with that. So we would suggest that the committee remove that one. And then any other, because we are short on time, any other suggestions or possible changes that the E&E committee has for updating the 2025 goals to 2026 or adding a new goal. If you just want to either call me or email me with your suggestions, and we can work on some language for that.
Shall we deal with it that way?
Just one.
Okay, Mr. Roth?
At the special finance committee meeting we had in May on suggestions to improve our overall process, I introduced the concept of using SMART goals. And I highly recommend that we're going to should have every department do SMART goals. And
I'm sorry?
SMART goals. And there was an attachment in that, and I can pass it on to you, Jody. It allows you to measure as versus these pie in the sky. You know, we're going to improve efficiency. What's the measurement that we know we're moving forward? And I think we need to do that, because otherwise.
I'd welcome to see that, whatever the proposal is in the committees that I'm in, as well as chairing. So
Right. That's what I'm saying.
By all means, I don't know if there's any reason that I'm glad you brought it up.
Because we need to measure. Now there again, you don't do a simple one. Oh, we made it in a month. I mean, and you may not make the goal.
Right, Mr. Roth?
Okay.
Thank you. I'd like to think we'd like to see that. So
Okay.
if I'd like to see the detail and where it's coming from, personally, and I'm sure the committee would, and other committees that I'm on. Absolutely. This sounds like a smart idea.
Yes, sir.
So there we go. And then anything else on goals? So if you have I think that's a great idea. Let's incorporate that. Yeah, that's the kind of thing we're looking for, some out of the box kind of stuff that'll get us off of the pie in the sky, I think. Yeah. Okay, then, new business. Yeah.
Hi. I just had a really quick reminder. I had emailed this committee, I think on Friday of last week, just about a press conference happening on Monday, October 20th at a recycling facility in Chicago. We are going to be unveiling the creative for the regional recycling education and outreach campaign funded by US EPA at that press conference. So far, I don't have anyone that's able to go. Obviously, Mavis is traveling. Bill told me as well he's traveling. So if anyone else on the committee is interested and available, just let me know. And
where is it at, Claire?
It's at the back of the yards neighborhood or area of Chicago.
And what time?
Review that. When did you send that out?
I sent it, I believe, on Friday of last week. And the time, so I need to be there at 10:30. If I'm driving you, that means we're leaving here probably about 9, and we'd be back here by 1:30.
Okay. Then I'm going to hunt that email down so I can get all the information in the place there. And I request maybe you resend it to me. I don't know, maybe the rest of the committee.
I'm happy to resend it.
That would be great. Because I think I looked at it and then it sort of, with the last week, has been the way it's been.
And I looked, I didn't get it because I'm ex officio, but a lot of times I'm excluded on the emails,
Make sure Mr. Roth gets it.
Okay.
please.
All right. Anything else, Claire?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Last chance here. We're gonna get out of here and give Jobs a whole 5 minutes to get ready. I apologize.
No,
that's
early.
All right.
Well,
we're
you have
gonna-
an excuse.
So,
that she took
so no
my
comments from the
absence.
chair, other than that hopefully Miss Bates is enjoying her snorkeling with the tortoises or the lizards down in Galapagos. May I have a motion, a second, or a request to place the reports on file?
Alan requests unanimous consent to put the reports on file.
Any discussion?
No.
File. No need for an executive session, hopefully, no.
And then Roth will make a move for adjournment.
Roth will move. Who seconds?
Strathman.
Pettis is second.
Strathman, I heard an ST first. Okay, Strathman second, all in favor for adjournment? Aye. Thank you for attending. Thanks for the good discussion, and certainly we appreciate all the comments that were made in this last